thank you so much. And I think our company needs to probably come visit you as well.
Strike probably. You need to come see it.
Well, I'm Olivia Wilkerson from Consumer Credit Counseling Services. Our parent company, though, is what they use the acronym of CCAP, is Cumberland Community Action Program. And just to kind of give you a little bit about us, we are a nonprofit agency that help folks in the community in many different facets. The things that's up under the umbrella of CCAP are weatherization. What does that mean? That is for people who have problems with their home, keeping the heat in, keeping the gutters on, and not able to do those things on their own. There's subsidies out there that can help them to do that. We also have the food bank. I don't know if many of you all listen to Goldie in the morning. Well, how many listen to Goldie in the morning? So Goldie was at with our food bank at Harris Teeter this morning, trying to advocate for those who are homeless and not able to feed themselves. We have that program up under our agency. We also have the Aspire agency, and what that is where the government gives a subsidy for those who are under either underemployed or not employed, low income, who are challenged with trying to be self-sufficient, trying to get off of government subsidy and make it on their own, trying to establish them with the skills that they need to get the job and to be able to make it from day to day. We have that program, and then we have my program, which is Consumer Credit Counseling Services, to where we help folks with saving their homes and their credit. We were established since 1979, so we've been out in the community since then, and we actually cover over 37 counties, trying it here in North Carolina. We're a member of the National Foundation for Consumer Credit. How is that important to you? It's because how many of you all have actually heard folks get on the radio and say, hey, I can help you fix your credit? Yep, I've heard it too. Anyone can probably help you fix your credit just by giving you some advice. You know, I just call and do this, but then those people want something in return, because nothing is free in this day and age. They want some money in return, and people pay them. The problem is that if they're not members or accredited, then guess what? You can be taken for your money. So being part of these organizations, being a member of the NFCC, accredited by the Council of Accreditation, gives you the insight and the trust that, guess what, we're going to have to do our job right, because if we don't do our job right, those accreditations are pulled away. When those accreditations are pulled away because we're a nonprofit and we exist because of grants, guess what happens to the grants? No grant, they don't come. So it's very important, whomever you deal with, that you look at their credentials. We partner with the city and the county government, agencies, other nonprofits, business in the community, so that we can help the community in hands-on fashion. So it's good to get up and say, yeah, we have this accreditation, we're part of this foundation, and we're a member of this. But what do you do with that? How does that go out to the community? How does that help you? How does it help the people that are behind you? How does it help the economics? Well, you not only need to be a part of something, but you need to have the hands-on, and that's something that we do, especially with the city of Fayetteville. We have 9 locations throughout Central and the southeastern North Carolina, but those are present locations. When I say we service over 37 counties, we do it by way of internet, we do it by way of Skype, we do it by way of GoToMeeting, we do it by way of going to people's homes, we do it by way of location. So that's how we're able to accomplish the needs in 37 counties. Some of the services that we offer are in the counseling sector: credit, debt repayment plans, home pre-purchasing, pre-filing bankruptcy, budget and money management, mortgage default, reverse mortgage, predatory lending. In the education sector, we provide services with spending plans, establishing credit, solving credit problems, first-time homebuyers workshop, money matters, ID theft and credit card fraud, pre-discharge bankruptcy and personal finance management. These are just some of the few services that we offer to the community. What's your attitude and behavior towards money credit? A lot of people have different ways of looking at that. Some people say, well, you know, my wife handles that, or my husband handles that, or I'll get to that when I can. Or right now I'm not ready to deal with that, but I'm ready to open up a business. Misuses of credit money, emotional spending, holiday is coming. All these things is one of these things you will probably fall into. Why is it important? Because if you're looking at opening up a business, you need to know your credit worth. You need to know how healthy you are financially. When I was a banker, in which I worked for a lot of local banks here and credit unions, the one thing that would fascinate me the most is that everyone was so excited in coming in getting that loan, be it a car, be it a business loan, be it an educational loan. So excited, I know I can go in here and get it, and then when they sit down at the desk, they were not aware of their financial health. When it comes down to, well, how much do you pay for your credit card? Well, let's just start back. What credit cards do you have? Well, I know it's a Visa. I know it's either from this bank or that bank, and I pay, well, I always pay more, so, you know, I pay $50. Well, you should be smart about your credit and your financial health, not the person sitting on the other side of the table. That is what we're here to do with consumer credit counseling. And just to kind of give you a one-on-one on what we do and how far we go into your finances. We're going to teach you about how to pull a credit report, because although that may seem to be very easy, it's not. People don't know where to go to. They go on a website and get taken for their money. They think that they're getting a valid credit report. Well, guess what? There are hackers out there, you guys, so what you may get may not be the actual credit report that makes the difference. You'll get a credit report, but what kind of credit report? Why is that important to you? Because if you're going into a business, you are your business in the beginning. But if you're going into opening up a business, you need to know about your credit. You need to know where you stand so that you're able to then determine if a rate is thrown out there to you, is this a preferred rate or is this a rate that you're giving me for some reason? And what's that reason? Is it because I have challenge credit? Because I listened to Sammy on the side and Sammy says that he got 2%. Why did I walk out with 10? It happens every day. But we're going to teach you how to pull that credit report and how you can get it free. And just to put a tidbit out there, you're entitled to one free credit report per year from all 3 credit bureau agencies. And I put pamphlets there on the back for you so that you know how to get that. But you are entitled to it. And be it your personal finances or your business part that you're looking at, you need to know where you stand as far as your credit is concerned. You need to know how often to pull it, how long do the items stay on the report, and how to read it. What's frustrating most is that you get something that has a bunch of jargon on it, a lot of terms that you are not familiar with. We're going to teach you how to read that credit report, what you're actually looking at and what those terms mean. And if something is on there that should not be on there. Then we're going to wipe away those myths, because everyone has always said, well, no, it's been on there for 3 years and they have no right to put that on. Or I've talked to someone and they worked that out. So guess what? They're reporting incorrectly. We're going to tell you the truth, not the myth. Credit scoring goes from 300 to 850. Well, some people say, well, who gets 850 nowadays? Well, it's challenging, but people do. And where do you fall in that? What does that mean? We've heard FICO score, we've heard Beacon, we've heard, well, that's the bank score. All of it's the same. We're going to make sure that we explain it so it means something to you. How many of you all know the 5 factors of credit? No one, huh? Well, guess what? It's going to be credit 101. You've got 5 factors of credit, and that makes your Beacon score or your FICO score, however you want to put it. But that is going to, what these 5 factors do, it helps determine where you stand and what type of loans that you're actually eligible for. So when you hear, well, I can go out and get a business loan, I can go out and get this to cover the chairs, I can go and get this to cover the equipment, I can get a loan to cover my website. What type of loan am I applying for, and where do I stand with that type of loan? Well, you need to know the type of the factors that are, sorry about that. Here we go. Forget it's sensitive. You need to know the factors that are involved to help make that determination. Payment history, amounts owed, length of credit history, new credit, and types of credit are the 5 factors that are involved with determining your Beacon score or your FICO score. And if you all can see the blue, which is at 35%, that's your payment history. How well do you pay? Okay? We need to know how well you pay. So although you say, well, I got it in the month of December, did you get it in on time? Is the question. And how much time do I really have? Well, Alita, it's only been 2 weeks. Was that enough time for it not to report on that credit report? All is determined on how often they actually report. Your credit terms, we're going to teach you about credit terms, interest rates, APR, open-end, closed-end credit, what all that means. Because although we've heard of these terms, we never probably knew what it really meant. We don't know when they say closed-end credit, what does that mean? Well, closed-end credit is not revolving. Well, what is revolving credit? What does that mean to me? Well, as an entrepreneur, it means a whole lot, because when you go into a business, you typically are going to need a credit card. And that's a form of revolving debt. And how does that work with me? What does that mean to me and my business and the wealth of my business? With APR, we throw that acronym around constantly. What is it? I'm going to PACE it, APR, where is it at? What form is it used on? Well, we're going to teach you that. We're going to teach you what that means and how does that relate to you and your business. Because if you do not know, it's not just your business that needs to be financial savvy, but your personal finances need to be savvy as well. Because if a lender is going to give you a loan, they're not going to just look at the business. They're going to look at your personal and anyone else that's going to be involved in that. When you have those handshakes and say, hey, you want to go into business with me? Yeah, that's good. We've got along real well. We attended elementary school together. We graduated in high school, and I know them real well. But do you know them financially well? That would be the question. Why maintain good credit? I hear so many people file bankruptcy. Donald Trump has filed bankruptcy, and he's doing well. He's on every TV show, and he has all these big hotels in Vegas. You know, he doesn't have good credit. But do we understand what his bankruptcy was about? Do we understand how his business structure is? What does that mean to me, and why do I need to maintain good credit? Well, some of the things is so you have better credit terms. Most of us go out and buy a car, and when we buy a car, we're thinking, okay, well, gosh, I was up under the 2 digits. I got 6%. Well, 6% is not good when the going rate is 0.032. Okay? Lower interest rates. Well, why did he get a lower interest rate than I? Longer terms. Well, they gave me 84 months to pay it back. That's good because I have a lower payment. Or did they just try to fit you in that loan? Job applications. Well, guess what? Entrepreneurship is a form of a job application. You've got to get people to buy into your idea. You want people to invest in that business, right? So you're putting in a job application. What do they want to know? How financially healthy are you? Rent and mortgage applications. That job is, or that business is going to come out of some building, be it your building or be it a building to where you're going to rent or lease. What do you think they're going to do? I'm going to write a credit report. I want to make sure I'm going to get my rent. Insurance premiums. Well, your business hopefully is going to be insured. And what do you think they're going to do? Run a credit report. They want to know how healthy you are financially. The types of credit, whether I get a secured or unsecured, an open end, a closed end. Charge cards are an example of unsecured. So me as a banker, I'm going to give you a charge card for $100,000. I want to know how you plan to pay me back. Because just as soon as I release that credit card, which is unsecured, that means I have no collateral. That means if you don't pay me, I'm out. And guess what? You give people now $100,000 in a credit card, they're going to go out and buy something today. As soon as you switch that switch over. And they're going to use that whole $100,000. And they're going to tell you, well, I plan to pay you back, but things happen. Okay? Secured credit card, cosigner. Am I going to need a cosigner? Well, that business partner that you have is a form of a cosigner. Department store cards. Why do you have this on here, Lorena? We're talking about entrepreneurship because it affects you. It affects how you are viewed on your credit report. Do you pay on time? Do you pay off your balances? All this is developing a history. It's telling me something about you without me seeing you. We're going to tell you how to set goals. We're going to show you how to turn your dreams into goals, how to really give some thought to your goals, and whether those goals are realistic, because if I look back on some of my goals, I thought I was going to have this real nice mansion. It's going to be sitting on this hill, and I was going to make my own Haymont area. Well, things changed. Some tips. We're going to give you some tips. We're going to do a financial analysis on you to tell you which way we think that you should go. Give you some suggestions on who you should talk to when it comes to trying to accomplish those goals. We're going to tell you the types of goals, short-term and long-term. And then we're going to give you a homework assignment and have you to write them down. Because the more you write it, the more you begin to believe in it. When you begin to believe in your own dream, then the dream comes true. We're going to tell you about money traps, the rent to own, going to the pawn shop and pawning that computer because you're trying to make that lease payment or that rent payment, your payday loans. Although we've stomped out predatory lending here in North Carolina, you guys, South Carolina ain't but hop, skip, and a jump away. Phone and door-to-door sales. You open up a business, I don't know if it's just put on a big announcement, but everybody comes by and wants to sell you something. We're going to talk to you about that. Pay here auto dealers. You may have to where you need a vehicle for that business of yours. Well, we're going to give you some tips on how to purchase those vehicles. Video and CD clubs, upside down on your auto loans, high interest mortgage loans, especially if you're trying to go in and buy that building. We're going to talk to you about that. We're going to talk to you about living without credit. Something hard to do, but you may be in that situation. What does layaway have to do with my entrepreneurship? Well, you may have to lay away some equipment instead of just going out and buying that equipment. You may have to work out some plans and do some negotiating because you may not be able to purchase all of that equipment at one time. Renting, saving, using your debit card and check card, credit card, when is it needed? Why to develop a spending plan? Well, it's a powerful tool. You write it, you believe it. You see it, you live by it. You can't just have it up here. It has to be written. It's a plan to save and spend wisely. Planning helps you obtain your balanced budget. In our jobs now, some of us are not in the high marks to where we have to worry about doing a budget for our area. But for your personal life and for your entrepreneurship, guess what? You just were promoted to CEO. You need to know about your bottom lines. Tracking your spending. We keep the receipts, they go into our purse or they go in the car, and then eventually They've been there for 2 months and we say, okay, I've got to get rid of this. Our intentions were to bring it in the home and put it on the office desk. But what ends up happening, we clean out the car and you say, oh, I remember. And then it goes in the trash. I'm going to teach you how to better track that. Calculating your monthly income to determine how much you have available for spending, using your budget as a tool to stay within your spending guidelines. Being realistic, including your family, giving adults allowance, because if you're trying to open up this business, then you have to be mindful of your personal finances as well. This is how some of us get in trouble to where we start intertwining money. Being a role model for your children, only carrying credit and debit and ATM cards and checkbooks when you plan to use them. Be patient. It takes time to learn to stick with a spending plan. When we're going into our businesses, this is something new for us. So now we're coming outside of the family and we're going into an actual business, and we can't do the business like we do our family. We have to make hard decisions. We have to be mindful of what we buy to make sure that it's no conflicts of interest. Tracking our spending using the envelope system if we have to. What is the envelope system? Well, the envelope system is where we put just the name of what that bill is on the envelope. We put what the IOU is that goes in that envelope. We're keeping it to the side. Sometimes we have to go back to the basics. Giving yourself a third degree, reviewing your unplanned expenses. So when we have overspent, are we going back and saying, where did we overspend and how did that happen? Some of us don't do that with our personal finances, and which we need to do. Revise your plan if you've overspent. You know, when you're in a business, you have to sometimes make adjustments. And the only way that you know that you need to make adjustments is if you are actually looking at your things throughout the month. You can't get to the end of the month and say what I should have did. You have to review that on a continuous basis. Our individual counseling, I've provided the phone number there. They are confidential sessions. We do telephone and evening counselings as well, and we do have a Spanish counselor available if need be. Any questions?
How many folks do you work with monthly or annually?
For our financial counseling, we have per counselor averages per month 35.
And how many counselors do you have?
I have here in Fayetteville 4, and then on the outside areas 3.
Is that a sufficient number, or you need more?
We need more. We need more. The challenge is because we're grant funded to where probably about 7 years ago we got lots of money for grants to provide financial counseling. Because the money has slimmed down, we've had to slim our staff. Before I was with Consumer Credit Counseling, I had been a board member with them, and they had close to 20 personnel.
So it's not the inability to get the people, it's the inability to pay.
Absolutely, that is our challenge. Some of the things that we have did is we've become a little bit more savvy with trying to apply for the grants. But the grants, you have to show to what are your successes? How far did you actually follow the folks? And in the past, it has only been to where we followed the people for 1 year. Well, we've had to increase that to where we follow people now actually for 3 years and be able to show to where there is true success. And at that point, that's where you look at the grants going up because you can show those numbers. But it hasn't been the history in the community action nonprofit world to do that.
Do you have grant writers on staff? Or?
Yes, we do. We actually have 3. Yes.
Since 2008, I guess, when they had the economic meltdown, have you noticed that people, have they gotten better with handling their credit, or are you still being flooded?
People are stagnant. What happens is that if, let's say you go on the debt management program, they'll stay on that program for typically 36 months. they'll get off the program, and it's almost like a diet. You get bored with doing the same thing. I get bored with paying the same thing, and I'm having to pay bills. So people look for sparks in their life. So that's where they go out and splurge again, to where they buy that new car and they buy that new house because it is a spark. The challenge has been is how do you change that behavior? How do you actually get to the person and say, don't become bored with this, and keep them motivated to stay debt-free or to be able to handle their finances in the manner that they're responsible for. There's a lot of new techniques they've used. One of the techniques we're using is to where we do a little bit more in-depth follow-up instead of just calling and saying, hey, how are you? We do a face-to-face. We want you to actually bring in what your bills are now, because when you're asking people to bring in what they have now, it's a total different responsibility, because it's almost like I got to get on that weighing machine and actually show my weight. And I don't want to do that because I've been telling you that I've been doing well. So we've taken that tactic, and that has helped our particular organization to have better outcomes in keeping people stable and responsible with their funds. But overall, it has been stagnant.
What percentage of your current clients are actually aspiring small business owners versus individual consumers that are needing help with money management?
10%. 10% is something new for consumer credit counseling, because folks did not see consumer credit counseling as partner, as with entrepreneurship. They saw consumer credit counseling as these are the people that are in trouble and it was their fault.
And how are you getting the word out to the general public that, hey, we are here to help you with possible small business ownership versus Jane Doe that's in over her head with 10 credit cards? How are you getting that word out for your organization? So
since I've actually been in office, and I've been in office now for 9 months, I've spent $35,000 in marketing, radio, TV, and billboards, which is something that consumer credit counseling never did.
So it's paying off.
It's paying off.
Fantastic.
It is paying off. They've marketed before, but have not spent close to the amount of money that we did. And we actually wrote a grant to actually get those funds to market. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.